Good morning again, everyone. We're going to start this morning. Hey, Bill, back there. We're going to start this morning with a little bit of fun, a little bit of sharing, if you don't mind. And then I'm just going to ask you to think about 3 of your favorite movies. 3 of your favorite movies. And if you're like me and you're worried or you don't want to say because you think some cosmic law will hold you to your choices forever, you can use the question, 3 favorite movies in this moment for right now. So I want you to think of them though, and I want you to turn to someone next to you and share what they are. Anyone need anyone to share with? You can look at me.
Somewhere in time.
Downtrodden with. And isn't that similar in our own lives at times, that they're a process of remembering or of forgetting who we are? I love Harry Potter as well, and this is why I think Harry Potter is a true story, is because the values and ideas that it espouses at heart are exactly what we teach here. Harry Potter teaches us that love is the most powerful force, even beyond any magic in the whole universe. Don't we believe that here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Harry Potter teaches that our loved ones, even when they pass on, are always with us. They're always in our consciousness. They're a part of who we are. Do we embrace and like that idea here?
Yes.
Harry Potter teaches us that consciousness is the fundamental reality of all that is. Isn't that what we teach here? So we, Church of Harry Potter itself. Got me a Hollywood. Right. And in our own lives, we often have that discovery that's made too of who we really are. And it's at the center of any great film or book. Sometimes that great discovery happens at the beginning. Harry realizes he's a wizard. Luke Skywalker finds out he's a Jedi. Sometimes it happens near the end. Dorothy realizes she's already home. The maiden realizes she's already a princess. And then for so many of us, there's that process of consistently forgetting and remembering in our lives. I like that idea that life is kind of like a spiral, and we're either moving away from the center of who we are because we're forgetting what that is, or we're remembering who we are and we're walking back. But the key idea there is that the center is always there. It's always calling us back to what it is. I'm not saying here that the center creates stories and dramas for us or bad things that happen to us, but the center helps us, no matter what happens to us, to respond in a way that helps us embody and become the spiritual narrative that is the very truth and essence and substance of who we are. I love something that Terence McKenna said. He said, "Nature loves courage. You make the commitment and nature will respond to that commitment by removing impossible obstacles. Dream the impossible dream, and the world will not grind you under, it will lift you up." This is the trick. This is what all these teachers and philosophers who really counted, who really touched the alchemical gold, this is what they understood. This is the shamanic dance in the waterfall. This is how magic is done, by hurling yourself into the abyss and discovering it's a feather bed. Or Joseph Campbell, quoting the Native Americans, he says, "A bit of advice given to a young Native American at the time of his initiation: as you go the way of life, you will see a great chasm. Jump. It is not as wide as you think." And I think the idea in both these quotes is not to say force the universe or force life to try and create what you want it to, but it means embody that spiritual narrative of who you are, whether it's to be compassionate, to be unconditionally loving, to be strong and in integrity, and trust that. And if you trust in that which is the highest truth of who you are, no matter what the joy or the sorrow in your life, it will guide you and it will reveal to you. And just like when a magical friend shows up to save the day in a movie, it happens in our life too. I love those old action movies, from old to me in the 80s, when the hero gets shot and he'd get all beat up, but then he'd have a memory of what he really wanted to do, why he was really here, and all of a sudden it wouldn't be like he got shot at all. And you start kicking everybody's butt. That's how it was for me, but it happens in stories all the time. either a friend shows up, Robin comes in out of nowhere to help Batman. Sometimes it's a supernatural thing. A bird comes from the sky to steal the villain's gun, or whatever it may be. But the idea here is it reminds us that our spiritual narrative isn't just our own. It's something that's shared in by the people that are most precious and important to us in our life, and by life itself, which has brought us forth in a way to express the spiritual theme and narrative of this thing called life, this thing called existing. I entitled the talk, "The Greatest Story Ever Told," this morning because I want to make the argument that for you, your life should be the greatest story ever told. Not only because it is your life, but if you really look at it, it has more plot twists, character developments, suspense, high moments, low moments perhaps, than even Tolstoy could muster. Our books are indeed like a fine novel, but it's up to us to learn to appreciate and realize what the hell is this thing about, right? It's up to us to pull those chapters and those ideas to realize what the theme of our life is. And I think that's the key to a spiritual narrative. I think it exists for everybody, but for those of us who are able to develop a consciousness of it where we are now, we can live our lives with such a greater clarity and allowing that spiritual narrative to influence our decisions, our relationships, and how we choose to be in the world. Another reason why this topic interested me, and why I wrote a book about it too, is that in the spiritual psychology, or even this tradition, there's a tendency to say, let go of your story. That the idea is you're not supposed to tell stories about your life because you might be portraying yourself as a victim of those stories. And there's some wisdom in that, and the idea of being open to turning the pages of your life, to having a new story. But at the same time, I think that our stories are our greatest source of value and meaning, to be able to see not only the high, great points in our lives, but how we resolve through the difficult things that happen to us to become and embody who we are today. So I think our stories really, when we can have them from a consciousness of self-love and self-care, can be a great sacrament to experience what divinity is, and also to guide us in who we choose to be in the future. I know we're all ourselves, but isn't it amazing to know as well how few of us really know what it means to be ourselves in the world, to value it, to see how significant we are, if not in our own life, then in the lives of the stories that we share with those around us. The other reason why I entitled the talk today, "The Greatest Story Ever Told," is again, it's this idea that your life is the story of God's life in you. Our story is the story of the divine in us. It's kind of the spiritual philosophy that says that the very purpose of our existence is not just that we need the divine, but the divine needs us to know itself, to express itself, to realize its core values of love, of goodness, of wholeness, of forgiveness, of enrichment, and that it can't happen in any other way except for you being you. So much so that if you were to cease to exist, the universe could fall apart. That's how significant you are. I don't mean for this to pump up our egos, but to recognize that the divine in each of us is that valuable. Ernest Holmes, in The Science of Mind, he puts it this way. He says, the conscious mind of man is that part of or unity with the Supreme Spirit, which enables man to be an individual unit, separate in identity without becoming separated from the whole Spirit of God, the whole mind of God. Without this conscious mind, man in an individualized state, God, or the Spirit, would have no independent offspring. Therefore, God would not be completely expressed. The party wouldn't be the same without you, is what he's saying. The Eternal has placed himself at the center of man's being in order that man may function individually. The discovery of this, the greatest truth about man, is the greatest discovery of the ages. So I just close this talk with a prayerful moment and invite you to join me if you so choose to ponder the idea that we ourselves are the greatest discovery we can make. To discover and cultivate what is the heart of our being is to cultivate that most primordial of truths, our connection with a higher and deeper source. bringing an awareness of our oneness with a deeper and sacred way of being into whatever circumstances or relationships are in our life right now, I know can enhance them, can help us move through them, can help us embody the truth of who we are regardless of what does or does not take place. Because in this moment we are whole in that sacredness. Committing to express it is to commit to your spiritual narrative, the path of your soul's calling, the path that feeds the world's hunger. Committing to this path, may we walk with it in God's speed. And so it is. So thanks for your time, everyone, this morning.